A recent raid on an Omaha meat production plant is almost certainly not going to draw the level of media attention as, for example, what's happening in LA. But there's a case to be made, and I'm going to try to make that case that it says everything about the Trump administration's approach to migrants and the topic of immigration. So the president of the food packing company, Chad Hartman, he's been very vocal about what recently happened there. He said that the front office was stunned by the aggressive nature of the raid and confused about why the company was targeted in the first place. He said, my biggest issue is why us? We do everything by the book. And we'll get into how he did everything by the book and how that's been manipulated by the government. But understand, they rolled up at this meatpacking plant with a list of 97 people that they wanted to screen or haul away. And they did, in fact, end up hauling dozens of people away. And so why were they surprised by this? Well, the plant uses EVerify. That's the federal database used to check the immigration status of employees. When the CEO said as much to ICE officers who carried out the raid, they told him the EVerify system is broken. And so the CEO's like, I mean, what am I supposed to do with that? This is your system run by the government, and you're raiding me because your system is broken? And I don't know which is worse. I don't know if they actually think it's so broken that even though this company is following all of the regulations and they're doing everything by the book and they still get ICE raided, or if ICE is just lying. And I know which I think is more likely. I think they're just lying. I don't think they give a damn about whether these people have their documentation in order. I think they've been told what needs to happen, and we'll get to that more in just a little second. But you might wonder, why the raid in the first place? Like, why show up with this long list? Is it because a bunch of murderers were working at this meatpacking plant? It's a great cover for getting rid of bodies, I suppose. Nope, not at all. It's just that there's a lot of immigrant workers that work there. And that's true in Omaha, and in particular this area where I believe like 1 out of 4 of the local residents are originally from outside of the United States. It's just that meatpacking plants rely heavily on immigrant workers who are willing to do the physically demanding work that a lot of native-born Americans won't, at least for the money. The industry, they say in the Associated Press, has not yet been the focus of President Donald Trump's immigration enforcement efforts, but the administration has been intensifying its efforts in recent weeks. And so you might wonder, wait, why? I mean, you can understand, can't you, why they wouldn't be targeting these plants? Is because they need these workers to be able to function. I mean, you haul dozens of people away. Can the plant even function? It's certainly going to be slower. How does that even work? So why change it? Desperation, not need, desperation. Because recently, this is the end of May, Stephen Miller, so he's the head of the immigration policy, he called ICE's top 50 field heads into DC. And according to a source, Stephen Miller wants everybody arrested. Why aren't you at Home Depot? Why aren't you at 7-Eleven? They said. And by the way, what do you know? A couple weeks later, they are at Home Depot. And we get the situation in LA that we have, seemingly directly coming from Stephen Miller's impotent rage at the fact that he went outside in May and there were still brown people out there and he's not gonna stand for it. And so there was pushback at that meeting from an ICE official, and to that, Miller said, what do you mean you're going after criminals? Miller got into a little bit of a pissing contest, they said. And the ICE official told Miller, that's what Tom Homan says every time he's on TV. We're going after criminals. So to be very clear, Stephen Miller is told we're going after criminals, and there aren't criminals at Home Depot. There aren't criminals at 7-Eleven. And Stephen Miller said, I don't want to hear about criminals. I don't care. Deport people. And so previously, places like meatpacking plants hadn't been targeted, but now they will. Not because there's criminals there. Stephen Miller doesn't give a damn. It's only because they want to get the numbers up. That's all it's about. It was never about the worst of the worst. It was never about violent criminals or traffickers. It was never about criminals at all. It's about deporting every single brown person out of America. That's the point. And so we get to the meatpacking plant and 70 people taken away in buses with the windows blacked out. God only knows what happened to them. God only knows how many of them are even inside of the United States, whether they're in ICE detention, whether they've been sent to El Salvador, sent to Sudan, sent to God only knows, Malaysia, I don't know. Who knows? Stephen Miller doesn't know, Stephen Miller doesn't care. Just get rid of them. Those 70 people who were working at a meatpacking plant. You think Stephen Miller would ever deign to work a shift at a goddamn meatpacking plant, doing that hard back-breaking labor for long hours for low pay? You think he would do that? You think any of these bastards would? No, but these people were. And so when I say constantly that America always has and always will be made stronger by the presence of awesome migrants like this is what I'm talking about. Okay, it's the people who make our system work. But to people like Stephen Miller, I don't like it. Don't like their skin color, get them the hell out of here. Oh yeah, but we want criminals, that's what we want, get them. They're dealing with pork, they're dealing with chicken, they're making sure that grocery store shelves are stocked with the foods that we eat. I don't care, get them the hell out of here. And so that's what they did. And by the way, the company president apparently reached out to Representative Don Bacon. Don Bacon looked into it. And apparently, yeah, they had complied 100% with the EVerify. So he's now asking more questions or whatever. He says they're a victim in this. Yeah, but it's your party that's doing it, Don Bacon. Like, I don't know. Like early on the show, we had Rand Paul, who's like they're doing goose stepping soldiers or whatever. This guy's like, yeah, no, they're just breaking the law by violating the EVerify and raiding these places. But like, would you like to do something about that? Could you guys maybe stop this before it gets even worse? Evidently not. And so I want to just close with a quote from Douglas County Commissioner Robert Garcia. Learned about the raid, he represents the local area, rushed out of this meeting, says, it clearly instills a lot of fear. People are asking me if this is going to continue for multiple days here in Omaha. People are asking me if this is going to spread to other cities. And here is the thing, it will, because it has to. Okay, it has to, not because America has been invaded, not because we're in danger from these migrants. The only thing you're in danger, I guess, if you're a pig or a chicken, I suppose, because they work in a meat processing plant, but that's it. It needs to happen because they have set arbitrary goals of how many people they want to deport. And they sold their voters a bill of goods that we can do that because there's 15 million murderers and thieves in America. Oops, there aren't. There's just good, hardworking wannabe citizens, someday perhaps citizens, which again, they want to avoid. And so they have to start taking people who've never broken any law, never violated any regulation or whatever, because they have to pretend that they're solving a problem that they invented in the first place. Every aspect of this is terrible. And again, it's not gonna get the coverage that the protests do in like LA or whatever, but this is happening all over the country and you're gonna see a lot more of it. If you enjoyed that, then make sure that you never miss another video by subscribing. And if you want a little more, consider hitting the join button and becoming a member. So you're probably wondering, why would I do that? Well, when you do that, you get access to bonus content that I make every single week, and it's a lot of fun. You get custom emojis and more. If you join at tier 3, by the way, you even get access to a monthly member hangout with myself. And you'll get all that going forward, but you'll also unlock years of the back catalog that is literally 100 or more bonus clips and top 10 lists and debates and more. So what are you waiting for?